So just let me talk briefly about the actual project you're going to be doing in class for the rest of the term, right? So I have the instructions here. Oh, Chrome doesn't open it in a tab. Okay. Let me just go back to Chrome though for a second. Just point out here, it's due Friday, so that's a week from this coming Friday. Should give you lots of time. Last chance to submit will be the following Monday morning at 8:30. Then the link will disappear. If you don't have it in by then, don't even think about trying to get it to me. Right? That's it. Create the project as per the attached instructions. Just a reminder that when you do submit it, I'll allow multiple submissions, right? So if you submit it and if you sent the wrong files, just submit it again. Okay, I'm going to leave it open for you to resubmit, but it's your responsibility to make sure you do submit the correct files. What I'll mark is the last file you've submitted. If there's a problem with that, then email me and let me know. But by default, I'll mark the last file submitted. All right, so let's get back to the instructions. Just talk about it quickly here. So basically, I do ask for a specific name for the project. So use your Blackboard username _MVC music. Yes, we all like to collect music, don't we? Anybody who absolutely hates listening to music? I didn't think so. Okay. So this is a very simplified model for a music collection, albums, songs, and so on, right? Basically, an album has many songs, and each song has many performances by musicians. Now, this is important. To keep it simple, I decided not to worry about tracking what instruments, right? Because after all, sometimes somebody might be up there playing lead guitar, but then they also jump in on the vocals, they pick up a tambourine, they put down their guitar, run over and pick up a saxophone all in the same song. We're not going to worry about that, okay? We'll keep it simple. We just track that these are the 5 musicians that recorded the song, right? Basically, that's what we're doing. Okay. In addition, each song has a genre independent of the genre of the album. So the overall album, see, there's a foreign key for genre. So, it might be a country music album, but this one song recorded on there is more, I don't know, pop or something, right? So that's okay. We can handle that easily with the 2 foreign keys, one in album and one in song. Musician and instrument, we have a primary instrument. Okay, so I might be primarily a keyboard player, for example, right? So my foreign key as a musician would probably be the ID of keyboards, right? But I might play other instruments as well, so we have a many-to-many relationship, hence why I took time to make sure you knew how to create a many-to-many relationship. I just called it plays, so a musician plays a number of instruments, right? So that'll be a simple no-load, okay? Intersection table just to record. We aren't worrying about which instrument they play better, just so we can check off a list that they play this instrument, that instrument, and the third instrument or whatever, right? Similar for the performance, right? For now, we're just going to track that they performed in the recording of this song, right? So it might be 5, might be 10 musicians, whatever. It could only be 1. It might be a solo, okay? No problem. So it's a fairly simple model, a little bit less to take on than our Camp Orno for now, right? But everything we do in terms of the instructions here, feel free, if you want extra practice, to take the Camp Orno scenario and do it there as well. All right, so in the models folder, after you create the project, add classes for album, song, genre, performance, musician, plays, and instrument. Basically all the entities you see on the screen. Use the Fluent API to create the composite keys, but use data annotations as much as possible. There's kind of a discussion in the developer world as to whether to do everything with annotations, do it all with the Fluent API, okay, or mix it, right? And basically what I say is do as much as you can with annotations, but as we've seen, there's a few things you just can't. But the annotations make it easier. When you look at the model, the class file, you can understand things. They're kind of self-documenting if you understand what the conventions are. So I try to do as much as I can just with the annotations and following the naming conventions for foreign keys and things like that. And then in the Fluent API, do just what can't be done with the annotations themselves. So this is this isn't actually a table design chart like I had you hand in your homework. This is more a breakdown of what validation requirements there are for the different properties, right? I probably should say property instead of field, but you understand the idea, right? So the stars, of course, indicate a primary key, so just int entity, identity primary key, and so on. So I'm giving you validation requirements mainly as a hint for your data annotations, because that's what you're being marked on. On this one, It's not the controllers, nothing in the code of the controllers, really. It's just your models, the data annotations, your DB context, the code there, and your seed data. That's where all the marks come from, right? So that's really all I'm asking you to create all your class files for your models, add the data annotations as required to get all this validation in place and the relationships, okay? Note you'll require some additional navigation properties not shown, like for example here this is an intersection, right? But I'm not showing the musician object here as a property. You need to do that in the class, right? I'm just showing you the minimum that is required to get your annotations in place. So once you're done your classes, create your DB context. I ask you to name it music context. Use Fluent API for, I suggest you set a default schema. Add a unique constraint to the musician's SIN number, the social insurance number of the musician. So add a unique constraint there. The composite keys for both the plays and performance, those two intersection entities. And then I don't want you to allow cascade delete anywhere except, okay, when you delete a musician, you should cascade delete all the plays records. In other words, that's the one that's the intersection to their performances. So if you're going to take the musician out, clean up the history of all their, oh sorry, plays is the instruments. Sorry, wrong one, brain fart. All right, so when you delete a musician, you should delete automatically, cascade delete the record of all the instruments that they play, okay? When you delete a song, that's where you delete all the performances by musicians, right? Okay, but you can't delete an instrument if there's any musician that plays it. But you can delete the musician, and all the records of the musician instruments they play should be deleted. Clear as mud, right? Okay. And then add migrations, create the database, and add seed codes. That's the last thing that's worth marks, is your seed code. So seed, a little bit of data in every table, right? I suggest this part, there's no marks for the controllers and views and so on in the navigation, but go ahead and do it because that way you can test, right? Try creating a record. That's the best way to validate at this stage that your models are all valid and relationships work, is if you can go in and add a new musician, right, and add a new song and so on and so forth, then it does allow you to confirm. I'm not going to mark you for cleaning up the UI on the controllers and views, right? All the marks just come from the classes and the code that you put in the seed and the DB context. But I suggest you take time because it allows you to test. And if you have a invalid relationship set up, it'll come pretty clear when you can't insert a song belonging to an album or vice versa, right? Any questions about the homework? Okay, alrighty.